Thank you for connecting. We are ready to discuss, and we know that you are quite familiar, very well connected with high tech, with blockchain technologies, and all this digital. Let's say you are a digital.
Yes. Well, I do write for a large audience. And so, I learned about what you're doing in Kazan probably about 3 months ago. And then as I started to explore that, I started to realize that really, what I think what the governor has done, what the president of Tatarstan has done is truly remarkable. And so I wrote one article, I'd done an interview with Alex Gusev, and I'd written one article about it. And he said, well, what he had told me was that was the limit of his knowledge. But he said, you should try and explore further because there's so much technology development being done. And so that led me to you. And so I do definitely want to thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. And, we get your questions and they're very deep, very deep. It shows that you are very well, let's say, in the topic. And all these replies that I made, some of the questions you made make me more digestive with the information that I'm going to dispatch and announce, let's say, or share with you. And they are quite interesting. It's a sophisticated questions from your side.
Oh, well, thank you.
That is very, that is in a good sense, of course, in a good sense, that sophisticated, that they are with several layers of understanding and the depth of your knowledge that you are addressed. And I propose to share it. I checked once again the translation and not spend time for, let's say, repeating the replies on these questions. I would be happy in any way to have communication with you if you need any clarification on this. But if you would like to have a general, let's say, dialogue, whatever interesting, because all we need, we prepare, but you can ask whatever you like. And how, by the way, 2-3 months ago, as you said, you discovered that Tatarstan is quite techy, let's say, how now it's very modern word, techy.
Yeah, well, and so I first learned about it through blockchain, right? I was researching blockchain, and then I learned about Tectum, and I learned about some of the work that like, again, Alex and then Gumar Kadyrov have been doing. And so when I started to talk to them, they said, well, we're in Kazan, and they said, but this area, when they described it to me, when they described, the government infrastructure and the collaboration between business and government and the university in Innopolis, to me, it reminded me of Silicon Valley or Redmond. And I said, that's magic. And I've seen this before. And when the pieces come together like that, you just have this magic that happens for developing new technologies. And so for me, that was inspiring. I got really excited about it because again, having seen it in the past, it seems like it's what would they say, that the sum is greater than the pieces, I guess. So
it is. But Silicon Valley or Redmond, every year or every 1.5 years, I'm visiting these places. I have a lot of friends there. And Innopolis, it's something new, comparing to these points on the map, meaning-wise different. And they are, Silicon Valley is now appearing For example, in Austin, Texas, you know, it's an oil region and they're trying to diversify. I met with Mayor Adler, who is the mayor of Austin, and he is now very supportive with all these venture and startup movements. So I see that some of the startups decided to leave Silicon Valley and to spread throughout the United States to other points where the governors are trying to lead the innovation process and merge the local industry, venture capitalists, and the startups with the students and with the universities that creates this boiling juice that brings innovation, you know. With Silicon Valley, it's very interesting. We have also some of the students of Innopolis University that went there to make their startups. And, you know, Innopolis University is just 8 years as from now. We launched 8 years ago with Carnegie Mellon University from Pittsburgh. I didn't write about this. So we have, let's say, DNA from Pittsburgh University of Carnegie Mellon. Maybe you've heard of this university. It's very
yes.
Respectable gentlemen there, but we adopt what best practices make to our climate, and in climate I mean investment climate, human climate, and the Russian system of education. So Redmond, it's a corporate city. It's a corporate city of one company, mostly of one company, because Microsoft itself, it's about 100,000, 120,000 employees, but with all subs, it's about 1 million. What we are doing here, it's more about Redmond, but it's a mixture of Redmond and Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. If we're speaking about Innopolis, because there are 3 types of companies, 3 types of, how to say, entities. It's branches of Russian big companies. We have a list, for example, just it's a fresh issue of Forbes, and it's a Russian 200 companies, the most big companies of Russian economy, and all of them are our clients. Why? Because all companies now are developing insourcing development. They are trying to reduce the purchase from the open market, all IT infrastructure development, and they are making this expertise inside the company. It's the same is happening all over the world. So the developers branches of these companies, insourcing branches, are located in here, in Innopolis, in Technopark actually, where I'm now. I'm working, though I'm a vice prime minister, but my working place is here. I decided not to spend time in the government. I moved here to Innopolis. Yes. The second kind of entity, this is a standalone young companies that are almost, it's a venture entities almost, but they already have a cash flow for 1 or 2 or 3 years, but they are newly born companies and they're growing now. It's a no-name companies, but it's a very interesting developments. They have sometimes fantastic solutions. Up to now, we have 115 companies in this Technopark. I invite you to come. It's better once to see than 1,000 times to hear. And the third type of entities, it's an actually startups that we are just started approximately 1 year now, as from now, 1 year, it was 5th of June since we started developing startups here And up to now, we approved approximately 65 startups for 1 year. 1/5 of these startups is created by students, by alumni of Innopolis University. So it's a mixture of Stanford, which make a DNA to Silicon Valley, and it's a mixture of Redmond, which is a mono city of one company, though it's not a company, of course, city, but it's a lot of companies now. But I like Microsoft. I have, there was one guy that works for vice president of Microsoft, Kirill Tatarinov. That was his surname. Now he doesn't work. He worked for 10 years approximately, and he left 4 or 5 years ago, maybe less. So we are Tatars. So Kirill Tatarinov. His surname is the same. The Tatars, you know, Kirill, and we were joking that Tatars is everywhere. So this is Innopolis. Innopolis is, but of course it's governed by the state. But myself work for business for 14 years, and just for the last 8 years I work as a state employee, as a deputy prime minister. But actually I'm still a businessman, and I feel myself like a businessman and not a state employee, because once you make it feel just a state person, it's you better go politics. But with these projects you have to be a businessman and very open-minded, very efficient, very, you know, active. And, this, yes, sorry for long speech, but this is just to comment what you said, Redmond or Silicon Valley. So it's a mixture. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so I should ask, with the questions then, did the staff write answers for those to, or so the reason I ask is you
make it?
Yeah, or should I start with the questions?
I propose, Tim, I propose not to go on questions, because I already reply all questions. If you want, we can go through.
No, that's okay. No,
I always make it myself, because, you know, when you run the project, and actually 8 years ago I came from business to state to run this project exactly. So I'm from the beginning of this project and doing this. This year, 9th of June, so actually a week before, we celebrate 5 years of the city. 5 years of the city. And it is 5 years since since new citizens came into the new houses, into the new block apartments. We launch hospital, we launch school, we launch mathematics with deep study of physics and mathematics, lyceum, kindergartens, private kindergartens, and all city infrastructure that is very interesting. And I would ask my colleagues to drop you fresh photos, but I propose not to spend time for this.
Sure.
We make it, and feel free to write me any questions for the clarifications. I make it myself, so it's fine.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, the problem is that the language we will check once again and give us 1 or 2 days to clear it out. I mean, we make a translation, but you know, with languages, it's always like this. To speak on the language is different than
writing. Yes.
Proper. Yeah.
And I that's one of the things that I found. And, you know, I've done a lot of, in my work, I've done a lot of interviews with scientists, and that's been, it's just a challenge with everyone. So I do a lot of editing to fix the language. But that's normal for everyone, and I found that everyone has slightly different speech patterns, and you know, with scientists, they have slightly different than, you know, than computer programmers typically do. So,
Yes.
well, now speaking of language, one of the things that is interesting to me is working with so many Western companies. Is the language, is that a barrier? Is that a challenge? Because it does seem like, I mean, yourself, you speak amazing English, and everyone that I've met in Kazan speaks very good English, but it seems like there is a barrier of some kind there. How difficult is that?
Thanks a lot, first of all. It's been a long time since I practiced my language. Actually, you know, we are, there is no so many, foreign companies, actually, if we are speaking about Innopolis. It's mostly the shareholders of the startups or the shareholders of the companies that might be incorporated here in the Technopark to run the, any kind of activity. The language for us, for Innopolis, is not a barrier at all. We're very open. All management, and totally the project itself runs by approximately 1,000 people team. But it includes even the drivers that works on premise of the companies, and also even the garbage men that works in the municipalities. So it's overall, it's slightly less than 1,000 people. Not all of them, of course, speaks English, but all of them can understand and can help with. But all top management, actually, this is a mayor of the city. The pyramid, the management pyramid under let's say me as a vice prime minister and let's say leader of the project. That will be more convenient to say, because the title is one thing, but when you are the ideology leader, it's a little bit different. But in any way, it's a mayor, it's a provost or the CEO of the university, it's a CEO of the management company that runs a special economic zone, and it's a head of a special fund that accumulates taxes that we collect from the, all of them speaks English, of course. There is no much companies, there is no many companies in Innopolis incorporated so far. And as I said, it's mostly subsidiaries of these companies, but we're very open. What is interesting is that the learning process, the tuition in Innopolis University is based fully on English, and it's done with the purpose to be in line and at the edge of the last technologies that are available in the world. And English is a language of IT industry, of course, it's by definition. So there are professors from 25 countries working as of today, and the students is for approximately from 33 countries. Students, 33 or 30 countries are coming. There are even students that comes 2 years ago, I think, one is from United States. Yes, it's
so very, very multicultural then, it sounds like. Very multicultural and very diverse.
It is. Otherwise, you cannot develop. We believe that we have to be very open to the world and very attractive to all citizens of the earth. So we are not competing with anybody in the country. Actually, we do not have competitors. We have a good benchmarks that we would like to achieve.
Well, and I understand some of the technologies that I've read about, if I remember correctly, like, so artificial intelligence is an area that's being researched in Innopolis. And then I had also read that quantum computing is being done. And if I understand correctly, so Innopolis is working in conjunction with Moscow on quantum computing, and I believe quantum communications. I'm not sure if you followed that at all, but Those are.
It's we have some kind of projects, but you know, first of all, one of the members of the advisory board of the university is the CEO and founder, the president and founder of Acronis company. Acronis, maybe you've heard. And this company invests a lot in supporting of quantum computing technology development. There are a Russian quantum center that is running this project. We're also quite close. But what we see is that is very, very far technology that can be achieved with existing number of resources by university. For example, Google, they are making it hardly them. It's a heavy investment where a young university would not have very much, let's say, endowment that would allow us to invest hardly in these things. But there are certain, let's say, certain researches that we're making in quantum computing applications. So we are understand that it's a future. And for example, a Docker technology that will be applied for quantum computing. As my professors are telling, sometimes I met them, I'm not very much in details of this, but we are developing these projects. What we're developing this, let's say, how it is to say, it's been a long time since I practiced my English. We make some researches, I would like to say, not in the invention of the computing, but in the developing of the applications to this computing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is,
yeah.
Yes. This is, and the second part of your question was relating to.
Oh, well, and so it looks like there was also some joint work with a university in Moscow. So yeah.
With university in Moscow, I think Innopolis University has some projects. I don't remember all of them. There are more than 100 projects with different universities, with Singapore University, with Amsterdam University, with CERN, from Zurich. They have even 2, and they are studying. They are studying how brain of the people is working and how it reflects to create a special kind of interface, thoughts interface, computer interface. They make, but it's a long discussion. They have interesting projects. Now we are discussing, yes, with artificial intelligence, that the Moscow State University is making. And yes, we do make preparation to start it. We make, I don't have fresh update, by the way, you make me, I will make this, yes, it's a special group in the country created under the Ministry of Economy, includes also the special autonomous organization that runs this project for the artificial intelligence. But what I see, and we are in process, we are in this discussion, but what I see is that this entity that manages this project is missing three very important points. That I already addressed, and it's quite near. We're going to discuss it. Due to this pandemic, we unfortunately cut off some of the physical contacts, and just next week, first time I will come to Moscow for since 1st of March. One thing is that each country should think of how data should be collected, stored, exchanged, and transferred. So these 4 points should be a break-even minimum that each country should make. But at the same time, we should make a harmonization with European Union, with Asian countries, and with United States. Because the number of data will be such that it will be not just the kilobytes, it will be some kind of sets that should be unified. I mean, it's going to be fine. I mean, but it's technically, but legally, it should be also covered somehow. The second thing is that the industry of each country should be oriented and should be narrowed by the state in sometimes. Okay, we understand that business is not a good thing when the state narrows the business what to do, because it never flows correctly. But there are certain things that we should be proactive as state and recommend to some of the companies, at least where the state, but especially in Russia, state obtains formally and directly more than 55% of the business. So the state of Russia owns companies that creates 55% of GDP. So more than 50% dependence of the state in the economy is not good, of course, but this is what we have. I mean, and we have to recommend the companies, these companies, to be in line with big data, with let's say, trying to find social and economical benefits of being digital. Let's say we have to push it. And what this organization means is that we have to merge this entity that runs the project and the big business to find, let's say, synergies. Synergies, I mean, they are very simple. Either we earn more just due to the reduction of the direct operation costs, or we have some competitive advantage that others do not have, and by this also earns more, or we just spend less. So if there is no these two things, there is no data behind. You don't need this data. Unless now you have to find a way how the digitalization implies the positive effect to business, not to any kind of activity. Even for the state, you know, if you digitalize it, you make it more efficient. Efficient means less costly for the state budget. So this is what digits should work for. Otherwise, there is no need. And if you cannot count what you earn on this, don't do this. It's a waste of time and money. Yes. Well, and the third thing that they're missing is the people that could work and think in this thing, in this direction. They should be very oriented on the data, trying to find these synergies. Sorry for long speech.
Oh, no, not at all. Now, I also wanted to ask, and so you have a lot of international collaborations and then a lot of international business as well. You just mentioned many companies from around the world who are in Kazan. Is Kazan actively reaching out to the rest of the world for opportunities, or are companies starting to learn about Innopolis? Are they starting to learn about the work that you're doing and approaching you for startups and for engineering and for offices there?
What we think that Innopolis is not very well known to the world, and this is our, let's say, weak point. I think we have to find a way how to make message to the whole world that we're open for any kind of companies. This is from one side, but from the other side, I should say that if I achieve, there is no company that we could not achieve within 48 hours in Russian Federation, including any big companies in Russia. We work with, if you name top 5 companies, we work with them of Russia by the balance sheet, I mean, by the assets.
Okay.
We work with them. Innopolis University work with them, or the Special Economic Zone has a special unit that runs this digital insourcing subdivision that makes IT for internal purposes of these companies, of course. But what we now doing is that if we achieve 100 companies, Innopolis will be full. I can tell you that the technopark that we are locating now, this is on the wall. This is on the wall. You've seen a lot of pictures, I think, in internet. And the new one will come soon from my team to you. Just if you will post anything or you will write anything somewhere, you can use it. This technopark is just 8% free space. Everything is booked already.
Oh, okay.
And we are limited. We would be happy if somebody will come and build up their own technopark here. We will give unique tax holidays. For example, we have a special tax holidays for small caps that none of the territories of Russian Federation. Okay. 5 more territories of Russian Federation has, but not for IT. For example, 1% tax. 1% tax. If you earn something about 250,000 US dollars a year, you pay only 1%. Can you believe in the United States it's more than 38?
Yes, it's
something like this. So here it's 1%. But what matters is whether we enough equipped with qualified staff and nice IT guys and girls that would like to work for the companies. But it's fully booked. Okay, we can say this is for the Special Economic Zone. Next technopark will be built up at the end of the city. It's another 2,000 IT specialists. We would like to accept and make an introduction of this technopark to all of these our Russian companies, but we will finish it very soon also. Within 1 year, we will equip it with companies.
Do you have any idea when the next technopark will be? It sounds like, so is construction
end of the year? It's going to be end of the year, and then we are limited with finance. We will. You can invite. We are open from any part of the world. If somebody will come to build up their own technopark, we would help. We will give free land, and we will give 1% tax, and no property tax.
Well, and so it sounds like Innopolis is 92% full. It only has 8% left, and you're building another technopark already.
Yeah, because
you've already mentioned the incentives, the tax incentives, and so I guess the other thing that I should ask, and I will write this into the interview as well, is how could companies, or who would companies get in touch with to learn how to work with Kazan.
You can give my email and my mobile, no problem. I will address them to my team. No, really, Anna will send all the details. Actually, we have, it depends. If it comes to the process of acquiring a status of the resident of the special economic zone, it's a team of the special economic zone department that works for the corporate communication and preparation of the, let's say, these procedures. At the same time, why we need to the companies? It's not only because we give tax incentives. Actually, for IT specialists, it's not a big adventure. Okay, the cost is if it is, I don't know. You've heard about Yandex company?
Yandex, yes, yes.
Yandex. Okay, so they're 70% of their operating expenses is expenses for the salary. So it's very important to give incentives, first of all, on the most cost-driving parts of the business of IT companies. So this is how we call it in Russia, social tax. And this social tax also gives certain nice rate comparing to all other territory of Russian Federation here. And tax incentives are very interesting. But for the big companies, they are not using tax holidays. They are coming just for one purpose. That here we manage to develop and support and improve on a daily basis expertise to acquire and to invite IT specialists of high qualification. And the purpose is to make a boiling box of the companies that are coming to Innopolis to develop their digital competences and their insourcing, let's say, IT, and the flow of people from CIS countries, preferably from Russian Federation, from other cities of Russian Federation, here to Innopolis, and here we help to make teams that develops IT. So this is the main, in my opinion, this is the main competence. This is the main, let's say, benefit that companies get here. Because even in United States, Donald Trump said that we have at least to double number of IT specialists. Though United States is #1 in the world with number of approximately 3.5 million people working in IT. In Russia, this figure is slightly higher than 500,000 people, and we're 150 million people country.
Yeah, yeah.
In China, it's about 2.2, 2.3, something like this million people. But if you double it, and if you ask any of the countries, they could say that we need to double it because we need more. So this is the most challenging things for each company to develop faster than the others. And by this, you can do only if you develop digital. But if you develop digital, you have to have people that will make it, that will be coding this, that will be developing this, the designing this, and then will be IT protecting this.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so, yeah, so in addition to the reduced taxes, there's also reduced labor cost as well. I think that was what you were saying, that the salary.
No. It's not reduced labor costs. I didn't say this.
Oh,
I said that, yes, tax incentives, you are right, but we managed to attract IT specialists here in Innopolis to work and to develop.
okay.
But they are not cheap. They are not cheap. They are overall. What I can say is that, okay, senior Java programmist. Okay, how much it costs? In Russia, it costs approximately 200,000, 230,000 rubles. If it comes to dollars, I will tell you. 200, по-моему, да?
Ну, сейчас 240, если на 69 сейчас.
Okay, 230,000 divided by 70. So monthly salary of this person, excluding taxes, $3,300 US a month. In United States, it is minimum 10,000. Minimum. And we know the markets in China, even in Shenzhen and Shanghai, the market cap for this position is different locally. But and we are not saying that we are making a Bangalore here in Innopolis. No, we are not Bangalore. If you want cheap IT, better go to India.
Yes, that makes sense.
But it's very interesting exercise with Bangalore and Microsoft that started there back in 1995. But it's a different story. I study Microsoft very deeply from 1971 when Bill started making this. And we met with top managers. I met with the main constructor of this Redmond City that started with first these buildings that make these crosses, two crosses. That was two buildings of Microsoft. We attract people by the third very important things, because Innopolis has three main points. This is university that make researchers and IT, students, education, and researchers for the companies. The second part, this is a special economic zone for the business in this technopark. And the third very important part, this is a quality of life. So people are coming here for the quality of life. With the same salary, they would like to have more ecological, more safe, more quality, better living standards with good service in the same environment. So this is like a Redmond in this part, in terms of the standards of living. They have good flats, they have good kindergarten, they have good school, they have good medicine, and they have very nice, if you will look from the satellite or you will see the fresh photos from Innopolis, you'll see that the people here are quite happy. I mean, they are like the style of living, the quality of infrastructure, the attitude and the management of the project and the management of the city. So by creating high standards of living, we managed to attract interesting specialists and here to Innopolis. By making tax incentives, we attract companies, and also companies are coming when people are coming here, and we make a boiling of this, let's say, boiling process, how we call it.
Well, that's wonderful. I will do my best. I'll write up the questions, and then I will also transcribe this and try to add this as well. And so I'll do my best to try and send business your way as much as I can. So,
Thank you.
Well, I think that was everything that I had. I'm not sure if you probably have another meeting to get to as well. So.
In some minutes, yes. In 10 minutes, I will have to go. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, again, I would thank you for your time. Now, is there anything else that you would like me to know then while we're on the call?
Actually, I don't know where you will go with this information and where you will make it, or you will make it in the number of small articles, or you will make some big, or you are making a big interview about Tatarstan or Russia, because what are the roots of, let's say, your initiative?
Yeah, you know, you've told me so much about Innopolis actually that I think I'll try and focus on Innopolis, and you know, Innopolis in Kazan. And again, what interests me is exactly what you were talking about, the boiling of the region, right? Where you have the education and you have the technical skill. And see, for me, that was one of, like you had mentioned Bangalore, right? But one of the things that interests me about the Russian Federation is it has a lot of, like, it has a history of technological ability. And when companies work in Southeast Asia, there are some areas, for instance, Taiwan has a high level, you know, or Shenzhen tends to. But overall, when places work like in Southeast Asia, there is a technology gap in terms of innovation, and the Russian Federation has a history of innovation that's just outstanding. It's amazing, and so it seems to me like quality is something that you can offer as well, right? And that's one of the things that makes it so interesting, you know. And so that was something I was hoping to share with my audience as well, is to say, you know,
these articles will go to some
so
magazine, or I don't know. It's
I publish on medium.com, and then and from Medium I also promote to several other channels. So I'm averaging right now, I'm averaging around 40,000 readers per month. So
we also make distribution through our SMM here in Russia. We will make a little bit more auditory for your for this electronic media, and would be glad if you can also address this to the to our president's office. Okay, I will send them in anyway, but if you will also drop them a link and ask,
absolutely.
we make a discussion, and you will just update them with that you are happy with the request, and we make it. That would be great also.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, and so I will work with Anna then, and for photos, yes, and I think the written answers. But thank you so much for your time. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you,
sir. It has truly been an honor to speak with you.
Same to me. Thanks a lot.